crosstalk or debate at this forum. At the conclusion of the question portion, each candidate will then have 2 minutes for closing comments or remarks. So let's get started with introductions in alphabetical order, starting with 2.
Good morning, or afternoon now. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for having me. I have 3 important guests in the audience with me this morning. My husband, Patrick Clark, right in the back there. Thank you, Patrick. While canvassing, I met 2 very interesting residents. One is Miss Beulah Taylor, right here. She's been in Wellington as a resident since 1978. I thought I was here a long time, and she's a former teacher. Actually, one of the first teachers at the Wellington Elementary in Wellington when it opened up. I also have Miss Robin here also. Robin, where are you? Robin is a resident of Wellington also and a tenant. And I thought they are usually some of the forgotten people in Wellington, and I wanted to bring her here so that she can experience this forum. My name is Karen Morris Clark, as you know, and I'm here seeking election for seat number 2 on Wellington Council. My vision for Wellington is to work on improving our already beautiful community. I'm Jamaican by birth and a proud American by choice. I have been a resident of Wellington for almost 23 years, and I've watched our family-friendly equestrian and aviation-centered village evolve from a sleepy town to a bustling hub of entrepreneurship and expansion. After losing our beloved son, Chris, in a tragic auto accident in 2016, I was completely broken. Not one to sit idle. Even to my deep grief, I took stock of my lifetime of effecting positive change in various capacities. Christopher is my why. With a bachelor's degree from FAU in political science, a realtor and an investor, real estate investor, entrepreneur, I've acted as a liaison between key stakeholders. One example that I'm very proud of is being the founder of an international high school alumni organization. I attended Montego Bay High School for 3 years before migrating to New York in 1978. With other members of the group all over the world, formed this organization. It's now a 501c3, and we gather together to raise funds, for local schools and also for international schools, and we purchased a school bus, which is our biggest achievement in the organization. I've partnered with food pantries for local churches here in New York, where I lived for 20 years, and I've been working with women in crisis for 30 years. I have also developed...
Time.
Thank you.
First of all, this is a chamber meeting promoting businesses, so I'm going to take my jacket off. I know after 3 minutes, because I'm representing Premier, and thank you for coming, Premier team. I do have a few people that I want to say thank you to first. Foremost, my wife, Evelyn. Please stand up, Evelyn. Go on in, ladies. You're my wife. Say that right away. I'm so happy to have my Premier team here. Wade Premier. This is all about learning and mentoring. I want to thank every single candidate that's here, you guys. Thank you for sitting here with us, and 2 other people. I want to thank Jonathan Bostic, who I've mentored since he was 10 years old. Gator fans, sit down. But for breaking training to come to this. And then this is an international event. Dr. Morgan Sullivan, Dr. Morgan Sullivan works at Lynn University, and he's been talking about politics in Florida all the way to his native Ireland. So thank you very much. My name is Tony Nelson. I've lived in Wellington for, I think it's 36 years now. My wife and I came in 1987 when I was one of those chosen to open the Allstate Insurance Company regional office. At the time, there was only 1. We expanded to 2, so I was part of that team. When we first moved here, and Evelyn and I were both working in Boca, and we were looking for homes, people found out that we were looking at this place called Wellington. They said, what? Wellington. drive back and forth from Boca on this one-lane road all the way out to this community. And I think I have enough insight to realize that Wellington will grow into the wonderful community that it is today. So I'm so happy to be here. After working at Allstate Insurance Company, I had the privilege of joining a company called American Bankers Insurance Group. At the time, it was $4.99 on the Fortune 500. At the time when I joined, a great company. At the time that I joined the company, we were experiencing some challenges in the Caribbean, so I was chosen to go there for about 8 or 9 months and fix the problem. I ended up staying for 5 years. After leaving American Bankers Insurance Group, and when we came back, my wife and I to Florida, and I want to add that I actually commuted for 5 years in between that time. I was fortunate enough to be asked by Mr. Paul Leone, most of you will know him by the hotelier of the world, to help at the Breakers. I was supposed to be there for 1 year to make a great company exceptional, to make a great group exceptional, and ended up staying there for 12 years. While I was there, I also have my own company, Nelson Risk Services, now known as Premier Risk Services. A lot of my clients might be in this room. I've represented the medical community for about 20 years. One of my clients was Dr. Epperson Bagel of Premier Family Health. In 2015, they asked me that I step aside for all my other clients to run Premier Family Health. First as the Chief Operating Officer and then promoted to President by the board. So I want to thank you all for allowing me to be here. It's Meet the Candidate. Thank you very much, and I hope everyone enjoys the floor.
Hi everybody, Councilwoman Tanya Siskin here. Since we're introducing spouses, mine is also here, Jeffrey Wade. We have been here 21 years. We have 3 amazing kids. They've all gone through the public schools here in Wellington, which I've done a lot of volunteer work for over the years. In 2016, I was appointed to the council, and in 2018, I won my election to keep seat 2. And now this would be, and in 2020, I served as the vice mayor. That's almost the year that's like forgotten. Vice mayor in 2020, and now this would be my final 4-year term. I was re-elected. I serve currently on the Education Foundation Board of Palm Beach County, and I'm also on the Government Affairs Committee for the Realtors Association for Broward, Palm Beaches, and St. Lucie County. And I'm a realtor as well at Keller Williams Wellington. And I have so many PTA days. I'm not going to get into that and bore you because I know you all know that. But I was a big volunteer at PTA, and I got on the county level PTA. So I have a very long record of service in this community, starting with when we moved here 21 years ago with the Junior League. I still have a lot of my friends in the Junior League here supporting me, and for the PTA as well, in the schools, and for that I'm grateful. And I think, I have every major endorsement in this race, and I think that that's because they see my level of service in the community and they like it. And I want to run for re-election to keep Wellington going in the right direction, and we have a lot of great things going here. Everybody agrees this community is lovely. We have low crime, low taxes, excellent schools. These are all the reasons that I want. I've been part of that, being on the council for the past 6 years, and would like to continue the progress that this council has made and keep our experience and our knowledgeable council that works well together.
Good afternoon. I'm Vice Mayor John Mcgovern, and I'm proud to hold seat 3 on the Village Council. First, I want to take a quick moment to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the Small Business Committee for hosting this important debate. Before I get into talking to you about exactly how important this election is and the choice that's before us, I do want to thank my team that is here. First, my parents, who brought me to Wellington in 1986. Tom and Linda Mcgovern are here. The forever mayor and the forever first lady, Tom and Regis Wenham, are here with me. Wellington would not be the place that it is today and the great place that it is going to be without the ongoing and daily service of Tom and Regis Wenham. If you ask me who's the example, they're the example. I want to thank our commissioner, our county commissioner, who has fought tirelessly for Wellington, Commissioner Melissa McKinley, who has served valiantly for almost 8 years, representing the interests of Wellington and the Western communities. I want to thank her for being with me today. I want to thank my law partner and my legal assistant from Mcgovern Girardi Law who are here. This is a labor of love being on the Village Council because everybody who does it has another job. And it's meant to be that way. It's the essence of citizen government. But it cannot be done without core supporters back at the office who are there to make that possible. So I want to thank Christina and Kelly for being with me today. And lastly, I want to thank my rock. Many of you know her as the better Mcgovern, the stronger leader Mcgovern, the more likable Mcgovern, my wife, Michelle Mcgovern. Thank you, honey. You know, I've been asked a lot over the last couple of days, why am I running for re-election? And I'm running for re-election because Wellington is personal to me. I grew up here. It shaped who I am as a person. And I've come back here to raise my children. And I'm running for re-election because I will do whatever it takes to keep Wellington our great hometown. My experience, judgment, leadership make me the most prepared and qualified choice to ensure that our village stays great and continues to improve. And that's the key. Stays great and continues to improve. I've seen our village evolve over the last 40 years into one of the safest, happiest, most fiscally responsible communities in our state. So we need to work together. We need to make strong decisions, make the right choice in this election, and keep our community moving forward. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Most of you already know me. I've been very active in the Wellington Chamber of Commerce for many years as a member, as well as the past president, treasurer, secretary, on down the executive chain. Johnny Meyer, and I am running for seat number 3. And I want to thank my team that's here with me today. Earl, he's my partner in Pharmacana, Marion Frank, Sarah Baxter, my consultant, Andy Deloney, Jim and Stacy Summers for always sticking out with me, and then when I put up posts in the middle of the other night at 12:01 a.m. John. In either case, Monica, thank you for always being there as well with me. Unfortunately, my wife couldn't make it today. She's at Alzheimer's Research Institute, where she works and does very important work. So, unfortunately, she couldn't be here today. My kiddos at Wellington High School enjoying their senior year. So, it's me and my team today is who you get, which represents us very well. First of all, who am I? I'm a dad first, and husband second, and I'm a business owner third. And I think that's a very important piece to this puzzle as far as how our council evolves, changes, and shapes the rest of our lives here. Not only do I own my community pharmacy, but I also own 2 other businesses here in the village of Wellington, and 7 total outside of total. I am first generation born here in the United States. My mom was a refugee from Vietnam, so I'm a product of the Vietnam War, and I'm basically the epitome of the American dream. My mom came here not knowing a lick of English and had nothing, didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, but she raised me and my older sister. And here's her hard work at work. I want to bring that same work ethic to the village of Wellington. I work with the community on a daily basis. I have over 6,000 people that come through my pharmacy every single month that I listen to, that I talk to. So I feel like I have a real good finger on the pulse in Wellington about the issues and concerns of our residents. So even though I'm a very busy guy, as you probably assume, I have an incredible staff, incredible team behind me that allows me to do things like this and serve our community. Like John said, this is the epitome of civil service, in my opinion. So there's a whole bunch of issues that I want to tackle. I don't know if this is the time for that because I only have a couple minutes, but since John took over his time, I'll go ahead and
All right. second warning, right? Okay. So we can stick to that. All right. Our first question will start with Ms. Morris Clark, seat 2, and then it will go to each one down the line. The Wellington Chamber is a boutique organization catering exclusively to our Wellington market. If elected or re-elected, what are your plans to support this chamber?
Thank you for that question. As a member of the Chamber of Commerce, I find that the Chamber of Commerce in Wellington is very vital to businesses. On the other hand, I've gone out to many businesses in the community that are struggling, and they were telling me that they can't afford to be members of the Chamber of Commerce. So as a council member, and even as a member of this organization, I would like to see a way that all other small businesses who are struggling could also be members of this very, very good organization. I commend the work that they do.
Thank you. First and foremost, I'd like to say I'm very happy to say that we've been a supporter of both chambers in Wellington for many years. And the first thing that I would do is bring the chamber to the table. And if I may make a correction here, I think the Wellington Chamber serves more than just Wellington. I think the Wellington Chamber serves the entire Western community. It's not limited to Wellington. And the first thing that I would do is, if elected, is bring the table to the chamber. Bring the chamber to the table, sorry. I think it's important that it's not just the council making all the decisions. I think you need to be involved in making decisions. And one of the first things that I would want to do is a quarterly forum with all the small businesses, with all the business leaders in Wellington. For 4 years. We do this for 4 years. You need to be at the table. We need to come to you. Thank you.
Well, I need to say that the village doesn't make decisions for the chamber, but we do work with the chamber very well. We have a long history of attending events and doing events together, partnerships, and I think the chamber does an excellent job of promoting itself. Constantly getting emails and events. They're really good at event planning, and they do a great job. And I just think, to continue that relationship would be very important. And I was just at the Women of Wellington Chamber Polo event they had the other day, and it was lovely. And we could certainly partner even more than we already do, but we do a lot together. So I'd like to see that continue.
I have been a regular attender and supporter of the events of the Chamber of Commerce in the entire time that I have been on the council. But I take a little bit of a different view. I think that, as Mr. Nelson pointed out, we are well served in the Western communities by 2 chambers of commerce, the Wellington Chamber of Commerce and the Central Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. And the Central Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce has a larger, more regional focus. What distinguishes the Wellington Chamber of Commerce, in my opinion, is its direct focus on Wellington. And I would challenge the chamber to come back to that specific mission, to focus on Wellington and Wellington business. And I would love for them to be a liaison to me in that particular regard. And also remember, the new driving force of small business in Wellington is home business. So I hope that the chamber will reach out more and more in the coming years to home businesses, because that is a core economic driver here in our community. Thank you.
Yeah, I fully disagree with John's statement as far as excluding anybody outside the chamber, and I believe that the inclusivity that the chamber offers is what makes us a great chamber. So, in my opinion, I think that there are more businesses that need to be included into the chamber. I think that we need to be recruiting heavier in order to get more bodies in and do some more things with sponsorship. It seems like the same sponsors sponsoring events over and over and over. So I think the chamber, we can do a better job as far as getting more businesses active in the sponsorship levels and doing more events. And I think that the village, as Tanya had mentioned, has done a pretty good job partnering with the Chamber of Commerce, but there needs to be some more cohesion there. So I think that being the past president, as previously mentioned, I think that I can make sure that that's achieved.
Our next question is directed first to Mr. Nelson, seat 2. The Village of Wellington has several boards and committees currently, including the Architectural Review Board, Public Safety,
Parks and Recreation, and everything in between. Would you be in favor of adding a small business committee?
I don't need a minute for this. I think I already answered that. The answer is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. I think that the small businesses are critical to the growth of Wellington. But I want to add one other thing in regards to the businesses. Remember, we have people that live in Wellington, and we have people that come into Wellington too. And we should make it a point to want to serve each and every one of them. So the answer is unequivocally yes.
Yeah, I would say that the village is very good at working with its boards and committees, and I wouldn't have any issue with adding one that focuses on small business. However, it does feel like it gets a little bit into what the chamber's business is. But if that is something that the residents are interested in, we could absolutely talk about that. We're actually going to be adding another committee very shortly because of the SHIP program. It will be like an affordable housing committee. So we have that coming up, and we'll need 8 to, I think, 10 or 11 members on that. So yeah, we're always open to new ideas and being creative, and I don't see why that would be a problem.
I think that we have to be careful to just have committees for the sake of having committees. For me, the small business committee is the small business committee of the chamber or the executive board of the chamber. And likewise, the executive board of the Central Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. Those business leaders have a finite amount of time. They're already serving on committees and boards, and what we need to do as village leaders is interact with those groups. If there's going to be a specific definable mission for a small business committee in and of itself, I certainly would support that. But what I think we have to do, what we have to challenge ourselves to do, is to continue to interact and engage with the committees that exist, that have very hardworking members on them now, to further facilitate communication between them and giving them specific missions and ways that we need their assistance in government as it currently exists. I think the Chamber Board and the Small Business Committee are already doing very good work.
I definitely think that there should be a small business committee because I think as the small business candidate and a small business champion, the small businesses here don't really get too much of a say-so. And yes, we have a Wellington Chamber of Commerce, and yes, they have an executive board, but even then, they're not strong enough. So, in order to change things on this council and within this village, so I think a small business council or a small business committee would be imperative, especially to save like the Lake Wellington Professional Center that's being proposed to be knocked down for a resort-style pool. So I think that should be the very first mission for the small business committee. All right.
One of my priorities for the village is the small businesses. And I definitely would be an advocate for a small business committee. Number one, not all the businesses, small businesses in Wellington are members of the Chamber of Commerce. As a matter of fact, I don't believe most of them are. So I definitely feel that the Chamber and that committee on council could definitely work together to bring strength to small businesses in Wellington, which are vital to our tax base and income and employment in Wellington.
Our third question will begin with Councilwoman Siskin, seat 2. What would be your ideal vision for the direction of the mall at Wellington Green?
Well, I was wondering when we'd get to the mall. Okay, so we all know the mall is in receivership, and we're sort of in a holding pattern right now, waiting to see if another group can turn it around or what they want to do with it. The mall is private property. Obviously, we would need to have the owners come up with a plan and propose it to the village. And the things that we could do to help them out would be rezoning, things of that nature, infrastructure plans for whatever might come our way. And I know the village already has some plans and ideas for that in case the mall cannot turn around. We'd like to see it thrive and do better. So let's see what this group can do. But I'm in favor of, I have an open mind where that's concerned. That could look like a mixed-use project, that could be residential. There's a lot of different options, but it isn't the village that drives that. We can only be there to assist when that time comes.
Thank you. When I first joined the village council in 2015, the very first meeting that I had at my request was with the owners of the mall. The mall is the single biggest issue that confronts our community. The mall is in receivership, and we need financial partners with vision to bring forward a reimagined mall and mall space. That space has been studied by the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council at our request, along with the entire 441 corridor. And the fact is, it's larger than Atlantic Avenue, it's larger than Clematis. What could go there has much potential. But the role of the village council is going to be to have stakeholders at the table, and then to set in motion through zoning, through various permissions, what can happen at the great vision of private business, because they are the ones who are going to come and fund that. And that is what we're going to facilitate.
Great question, great question, because that's been on everybody's mind as far as what's going to happen with the Wellington Mall. And I just actually met some of the leadership. Thank you, Megan, for introducing us, and we're going to discuss further some different things that I have in mind once I win my council seat, because there are things called public-private relationships and partnerships that the government can do more with, and I've seen them all over the country happen. I built pro formas for people. Even though it's in receivership, Wells Fargo just wants their money. They don't care how it comes out or where it comes from. And I can build pro formas and do workout agreements to show different projects in different places. One of the leaders of the Wellington Mall was just telling me he's from Chicago and has a perfect plan that happened there that we can just transplant here, put on paperwork, and make happen here at our Wellington Mall. We just do not want it to go dark. Everybody knows about Plantation Mall down there. It was dark for 15 years and became an eyesore and an issue. We don't want that here.
I remember when there was no mall. I lived here that long. I am delighted to have the Wellington Mall, and it would absolutely break my heart to see that mall go. Now, I really believe that perhaps the wrong stores were in this mall, and maybe whatever the businesses created was just not the right thing. I would love to see some indoor recreational facilities in that mall. Perhaps a bowling alley that's missing from Village. Perhaps an amusement fun depot or that type. We're a family-oriented community. Having 5 children, I've had to take my children out of Wellington to attend events such as bowling alleys, fun depot, boomers, and so on. So I would love to see a change in the mall to come that way.
I guess this is proof that we all have more in common and agree on those things than most people think, which keeps all of this rational, if you will. This is the second or third time we've all been asked that, and I do believe that I was the very first person that actually recommended that the mall be possibly rezoned and used as a mixed-use development. I agree with you as well, that there's so many different things that we can do from it just being a big box. We have other developments coming in. We have the Woods project coming in. I believe that as much as we love the mall, I remember we couldn't build the mall because of the spotted owls. I've been here that long. And I think that it might be time, and I do support the mall, but I think it's time to be creative of other concepts that we can do in that space. We can house seniors there. We can have services that serve the seniors there. We can have other retail type of institutions, but we can also have services out there to provide the services for the seniors, to provide services for young professionals that might need cooperatives. And Mr. Mayor, you're right. There have been many, many studies in regards to what we can do in that space. Thank you.
Second to last question now. This question will start with Vice Mayor Mcgovern, seat 3. Learning from what happened with the latest pandemic, if we were to have another one, what would be your plan to keep small businesses in operation?
I think that the village has done amazing work in its COVID response, and that is in no small part due to the yeoman's work put in by the 5 members of the village council, our emergency management team, our village manager Jim Barnes, who is here, his team. The fact is that when the pandemic began, we immediately went to small businesses and talked to them about what can we do to help you stay open. We created a certification system that said they were COVID compliant. We went to restaurants and talked about immediately changing our zoning so that they could come outside and have tents at places like Ollie's, Kalou's, other restaurants, Agliolio's. That is what village government at its best can do. The large thing we need to do going forward, though, is enhance and change our telecommunications and enhance our cell service in this city. That is what small business next needs us to do, such that if there was a pandemic or a hurricane, that would make a difference.
First of all, I would make sure that government isn't telling which businesses are essential, which ones aren't. I believe all businesses are essential. So that will be in the next, if another pandemic, God forbid, occurs, making sure that all businesses can stay open and aren't required to shut down or told to close down. I think that there are government assistance programs for businesses that do take a hit if this happens again. So we would work closely with those businesses to make sure that they apply and get the funds that are necessary in order to get them over the hump for the course of that pandemic.
Thank you. I'm not sure which businesses Mr. Mcgovern went to, but the ones I went to, the small mom and pops, were very much struggling and needing help, and the pandemic made it even worse. I really feel for Wellington, if we could have some type of Angie's List direction, some type of program that could keep residents in Wellington, to shop local in Wellington, even if we have to do a drive-up type thing that Walmart has, I think would be a great thing. Keep services in Wellington. I am so much for that, to see if we can develop our small businesses in Wellington first by the support of our residents who are in Wellington. And as far as the pandemic is concerned, yes, it was a national crisis for all of us. And I recall when the vaccine was given out, people were scrambling all over the place looking to get vaccines. I, for one, had to go to Broward County to get my vaccine.
I'd like to begin answering this by thanking my premier team, and then saying I absolutely agree with Mr. Mcgovern. I agree with Ms. Suska, because when we had the pandemic, the first thing the county did and the village was to turn to Premier Family Health, to turn to my team, and we were the first responders. In 2020, we were the team chosen to do all of the medical testing in Wellington. We can proudly say that we tested 13,475 people on behalf of the village and the county, and then many more at our practice. Second, I'm a risk manager by trade. I'm an expert in regards to disaster recovery. Folks, this just isn't about the pandemic. It's about pandemics, it's about hurricanes, it's about any other type of contingency that can happen. So the key is to prepare now. Teach businesses disaster recovery. Teach businesses contingency plans. This is one of the things that I would love to do with the small business community, small business consideration for a meeting with the council.
So, when the pandemic hit, the village was, ready to go. We had a lot of planning meetings. I mean, my answer is going to be similar to Vice Mayor's because we served on the council together during the pandemic. The village was very proactive about helping small businesses. They helped try to keep them open. They created signage where they could help have outdoor seating, organize things for businesses. They were very responsive in all aspects of the pandemic. And to answer your question, if we had another one, I'd say we'd be in even better shape because now we've already been through it and we have the protocols in place and we would do much of the same stuff. I mean, Lake Wellington Professional Center is another example of how during COVID we were able to help keep small business open because the village was very responsive there. It was a good place for people to go and be able to work, and also they did a lot of helping businesses get to work remotely. So.
Did we have any questions from the audience, or did you want me to do one more question? One more question. Okay. Last question. I'd like to direct this to the incumbent first, then our challengers, beginning with, since we just started with Vice Mayor Mcgovern, I'll start with Councilwoman Siskin, seat 2. What is your biggest accomplishment in the last 2 years as far as what you have done to support Wellington small business? And for the challengers, what is your biggest accomplishment? What is your goal for small business in Wellington, and what is your plan to support that goal?
So, like I said, I've been on the council for 6 years, and the village has always been very business friendly. Some of the things that we do to help small businesses as a role in government is working with the Florida League and the Palm Beach County League of Cities, going to Tallahassee, fighting for home rule, things that make it safe and for us to have more control over our own backyard than having the state mandate, what we can and cannot do, because not every city is the same. So definitely my time in Tallahassee has been an important role of fighting for Wellington right here. Again, we always look for ways to make our businesses successful, because we know that is an economic driver. Without our businesses, we don't have much. So we are always very supportive and do whatever it takes, whether it's pandemic times or not pandemic times. We've always been business friendly in the village.
What I'm most proud of in regards to small business really is in regards to all business. And first of all, it should be noted that I am supported by the business community in Wellington, from the hospital to our equestrian farms, to Mark Bellissimo, to Jeremy Jacobs, to Melissa Ganzi. Those are the folks that are supporting me for re-election. And why is that? Because in the time that I've been on the council, we have done things that have made doing business in Wellington easier. We've moved to electronic permitting. We have updated and simplified our codes, our land development regulations, the comp plan. We have made it readable and doable for regular people, including small business. And the fact is, that's what we're going to continue to do. When I talk about working on addressing telecommunications and connectivity issues, that is because we want businesses, including home businesses, to thrive here in Wellington.
It's a pretty simple arithmetic here. More business is more revenue is better amenities, and updated amenities. So, as the small business proponent here, it's unfortunate we have a terrible reputation for new business owners to come into our village and do business. I hear it all the time. A chiropractor friend of mine is still paying rent in her facility as she still hasn't gotten her occupancy license for 6 months. The left hand does not know what the right hand is doing in this village, unfortunately. So that red tape needs to be cut. My proposal is to assign a liaison person on staff to work with every single new business owner, from soup to nuts, from the time that they make their application to the time that they open their doors and make their first dollar. Helping that person all the way along to make sure that they get all their inspections in order, to make sure that they have every single checkbox checked so that they can get open and do it quickly. So that's my proposal.
As a small business member myself, and after interviewing businesses in the village, I thought of some of the things that would help businesses, such as workshops. I really feel that if we had a program, for example, that the small business department committee that the council would have, to help with workshops that would help with taxation and taxes, workshops that help them with loans, with resources possibly the county that could help small businesses. And also, definitely, I really feel the support of the community of Wellington, of their businesses are right here first, their first choice.
I'd like to begin with, I do believe I have more business experience, probably by virtue of being 64 years old age, than everyone up here combined. Small business, medium size, and international Fortune 500 companies. And there's one thing that I've learned, and that's that this council should not be making those decisions. I'm going to come back to where I started. Small business needs to be brought to the table. You need to tell us the best way to service you. And I've got to close on this because I think I have 30 seconds. I think you all have seen, I'm going to stand up for this, that we have more in common than most people think. And it's time. I'm not happy with what I'm seeing out there in regards to the right and the left and people not working well together. This is Wellington. Let's be civil. I had to get this in. I don't care if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, and I will say now because there's some questions, I am a proud Democrat. But you know what? We are one village. I've been in a situation where this village was challenged and I stood up for the village, and we all need to do that. We are one village.
That concludes our question portion. Now it is time for closing remarks in alphabetical order, starting with C2.
I'm going to do one little interception here. There is a car blocking some other cars that needs to be moved. It's a GMC license plate number Y87GJX. If it's you, if you could go move it, and I apologize for the interruption.
Thank you once again for hosting this lovely event for the Chamber of Commerce and for the opportunity to discuss my leadership platform and to distinguish myself from the other candidates. While we all have an abundant appreciation for this community, we cannot rest on intention, only bold action. With this in mind, I intend to strengthen small business via education and mentorship exchanges, bolster community participation in its fiscal renewal via education and partnership, focus on smart infrastructure projects that renew our community, increase the footprint and visibility of the local government to all sectors in Wellington, work with resident homeowners and landlords to keep premises up to code, create safer indoor spaces for children to play and to beautify all of Wellington. We can be of varying backgrounds, ideologies and approaches, and still interact with respect, professionalism, and cooperation as we escort this village into its full potential as a friendlier, safer, and even more prosperous place for all who choose to call our village home. My core skills as a problem solver, community liaison, entrepreneur, and business person make me, Karen Worth Clark, uniquely qualified for council seat, and I look forward to the opportunity to convert words into action and serve this community with my full attention.
Well, we all agree that the village is absolutely great. The village is great. There are exceptional parts of the village. I guess this is where we're all a little different. I moved here because of the equestrian community, and I want my kids to grow up here. The equestrian community is exceptional. I moved here because Wellington is great. That is exceptional. We have 4 current council members that work very, very well with the equestrian community. We work very, very well with the school district. I'm going to add in there that I am also a mayor's contractor to work with the school district, not just in Wellington, but the entire Worcester communities. Here's the difference. I don't think we need 4 council members working on the same thing. The equestrian community is exceptional. Wellington is green. I think the small business community should have the opportunity to go from great to exceptional. That's the difference. It shouldn't just be fractions of this community. It should be all of Wellington. And that's what I vow to do.
I want to also thank the Chamber for having us, and it's always good to be here at Wellington National, where Vice Mcgovern and I had our watch party 4 years ago. So it's always good to be here. So I just want to clear up a notion. I think there's some notion that I don't know anything about small business because I'm a realtor or that I'm on the council. I have an MBA from Pepperdine University. I ran my own small business doing retained executive search and in Baltimore. I'm a realtor, which is a small business. You are marketing yourself, you are running your own business. So I know a lot about small business, so I just want to make sure that that's clear to everybody here today. And again, I'm running for re-election because I have served on this council for the past 6 years. We have a lot of good going. We have a lot more work to do. We have some important issues coming up. And I think in 2 years, we have 3 open seats. And I'm hoping that we can keep the experience and knowledge we have on the council now so that when those 3 seats are open, we can welcome new members, but I don't know that we want to have a completely new and experienced council over the next couple of years dealing with some of the issues that will be coming our way. So I hope that you will vote for me on March 28th. Thank you.
I am proud of my record and proud to looking forward to the opportunity to build upon it. Big business and small business are equally central to Wellington's future. We need to assist them and make them thrive. We have put in place policies to do that, and we will continue to do so. And that is why all sides of equestrian, Mark Bellissimo, Jeremy Jacobs, Melissa Yancey, the Global Equestrian Group, all support me. Big business, small business, support Mcgovern, Bainbridge, Wellington Regional, Family Chiropractic, Ollie's, Don Chepos, DCA, Boynton Financial, many, many realtors. These folks are the core businesses of Wellington, along with so many folks in this room that have supported my campaign. We need to keep Wellington on the right track and build upon that. My opponent says that the degradation under the current council risks Wellington quickly devolving and becoming Detroit, South Chicago, or God forbid, New York City. Every person in this room knows that that is ridiculous. Wellington is, we've just done a survey. Wellington is 90% loved by residents. 94% would tell other people to come and move here. What we need to do is build on the policies that we have going forward. And that is why I have every major endorsement in this race, including the Palm Beach Post this morning that said the choice is easy. Vote Mcgovern. Thank you so much, and I look forward to working with all of you.
So, the people of Chicago, the people of Detroit, the people of San Francisco, Austin, all those towns have something in common. They were all nice to live in, and 94% of the people 20 years ago said, come move here too. But there's a problem with leadership in every single one of those cities. And so, I stand by what I'm saying. With this particular leadership, spending money haphazardly is part of the problem. Same problems that happen in those cities. And if you want to live in one of those cities, keep voting the same way you do, because voting has consequences. I want to stop the wasteful spending. I want to include transparency in every single dollar that we're spending. And, he's very proud of his endorsements. I don't want any of those endorsements, because to me that smells of corruption. That smells like a bought, paid candidate, in my opinion. But let's get to what I want to do here. I want to increase safety. The speeding is out of control. I have a person every single day coming in my pharmacy telling me about somebody running a stop sign or doing 70 miles an hour down Forest Hill. In fact, when I was coming here, I got a phone call from somebody in the room that said a woman just drove up behind her thinking that she was going to get hit, rear-ended, and then drove around her, giving her the bird, and just crazy, chaotic. So we need to work closer with PBSO. We need to give them more resources. We need to get more troops on the ground to make sure that our city is safe. I want to lower our taxes. I mean, everybody on this council is doing a victory lap about keeping our millage rate the same, which is fantastic and all, but I want to lower it because our home values went up. So since our home values went up, you're still stroking a check for a higher amount. So if we're fiscally conservative, there's no reason to stroke a higher check. So let's keep our seniors here. Let's make sure that they don't have to move out of state or out of town because they can't afford to live here. And then balance with the equestrian, green space, and development. There has to be a balance because one feeds the other.
Thank you so much to our Small Business Committee, and thank you so much to all the candidates for joining us today. We wish you all the best of luck on March 8th.
Thank you.